Am I the a-hole for not giving my ex-husband back his money? My ex-husband cheated on me 5 years ago, and I found out when he texted me instead of her. That ended our marriage, but the divorce was amicable. I told him that I couldn't forgive him, and he said he was sorry and we moved on. By that time, he had worked a small fortune, a company, 3 commercial properties, and a lake house. I got half of everything, and I am a silent partner in his company, getting returns twice a year. As an apology, he also gave me our apartment and lake house. It goes without saying that I don't need to work, but I still do because I love my career. He moved on with his affair girlfriend. I don't know much about them since it still pains me, but all I know is that they're still together. She contacted me in LinkedIn, telling me that since the divorce has cost him so much money, he has told her that he never wanted to get married again, nor move in together. And she blames me because I took everything. She is now pregnant, and according to her, my ex said that this wouldn't change his attitude towards moving in together or marriage. So now she is accusing me of being a thief, who is basically stealing her baby's chances of having a family. That I didn't need the money because I have a good job and everything was my ex-husband's. That I took advantage of him because he felt guilty. I haven't spoken to my ex in 5 years. I haven't even had the strength to answer him back every New Year to tell him to stop texting me Happy New Year because that's when we met. I don't know what to do. Is she right? Or should I ignore her? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Just block and ignore her. She played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. This is probably the best right answer, but I'm old, jaded, and just a little vicious. Personally, I'd send screenshots of her text to your ex-husband. But that's because I'm old, jaded, and not very nice. Me too, because I would have engaged in option 1 and 2. Go off and send it to him. Truth is that he probably doesn't want to marry her and is using OP as an excuse. After all, he's still contacting OP on New Year's. He doesn't sound like a catch, and neither does a fair partner. Yep, he regrets the divorce and won't get married because he's holding out hope. He gave her extra things in the divorce because he cares. If he didn't, he would have given her the bare minimum and dragged it out. So the homewrecker is blaming you for his fate. That's rich, not the a-hole. About the only thing that's rich about her. I bet you she pursued him because of his money, and now he won't marry or move in with her even after she got pregnant. Something tells me she tried to baby trap him. At least she can get hefty child support for 18 years. Not the a-hole. She expected to get the guy and all of the marital property. It's not your fault that this loony person didn't understand that marital property is half yours. Send a message on to your ex. Politely tell him that you don't appreciate his girlfriend contacting you to ask for money and to complain about their relationship status. Ask him to have a conversation with her about leaving you alone. I think she knows marital property is half. Hence, she wants to get married to him, but he won't do it. I've seen a lot of women who think this guy has a good job, a nice house, and a luxury car, and chase after him, but don't also consider that his wife of 10/20/30 years is entitled to half of everything. And the guy could end up paying child support, college costs, and/or alimony after divorce. Also, the guy and his first wife may have built a good lifestyle based on their spending/savings/investing decisions. But the second wife, who didn't work for that money or invest it slowly over time, may not have the interest or personality to add to the household wealth. That's the kind of woman who marries a guy, and then complains that he doesn't have as much money as she thought. Yeah, he has half as much money, more expenses, and the added burden of maintaining the expectations of the new wife/girlfriend. Mini update. Thank you everyone for the fast response. I was considering one of 3 options. Tell her off, tell him/forward her message to him, or ignore and block her. The majority are suggesting the latter, and I am inclined towards that too. Thanks and have a great weekend. I will try to read all your comments, but they're coming too fast. Sorry. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to re-propose after my fiancé lost her engagement ring? I, 29 male, proposed to my fiancé, 28 female 6 months ago with a beautiful ring that I saved up for over a year to buy. She was thrilled, and we've been happily planning our wedding since then. Last weekend, we went on a trip to the mountains for a little getaway. During one of our hikes, she realized that her engagement ring was missing. She was devastated, and we spent hours retracing our steps, but we couldn't find it. When we got back home, she asked if I could get a new ring and re-proposed to her to recreate this special moment. I told her that I understood how she felt, but buying another ring of the same quality would be financially challenging for me right now. I suggested that we could either wait until I could afford a similar ring or get a more modest ring for now and upgrade it in the future. She was upset and said that it wouldn't feel the same with a different ring and that the magic of the proposal was lost. She insisted that she wanted the moment to be recreated just as it was before. I told her that the important thing was our commitment to each other, not the ring or the proposal itself, and she accused me of not caring enough about her feelings and said that if I truly loved her, I would find a way to make it happen. Now, there's a lot of tension between us, and she's been distant ever since. I feel like I'm being practical, but she feels like I'm not valuing our engagement enough. Am I the a-hole for refusing to re-propose with a new ring under these circumstances? Not the a-hole. I would be horrified if I lost the ring my fiancé got me. No way would I expect him to replace it with conditions. Would really consider who you've asked to marry you and where their priorities lay. In the future, however, I would ensure the ring. Not only replace the ring, but redo the whole proposal. Lots of main character syndrome going on here. Run, OP. She is horrible to expect any of this. Hello, the door is open. Leave while you have the chance. You just got a view of what being permanently attached to her will be like. She ought to be ashamed for caring so little about securing something so precious. Not a-hole. If you really loved me, it's a trap to try to get you to do something, not just illogical, but counterproductive. You have actual things that you need to use your resources on, besides sentimental, non-pressing moments to recreate. This actually sounds like some sort of test to see how far she can push you. Tread carefully. I would retort back, if you really valued our engagement, then you wouldn't have lost the ring. 100%. If anyone is entitled to be angry, it's you. If she can't take care of one precious ring, how many do you have to keep buying if she keeps losing them? I am wondering if the girlfriend really liked the ring and proposal at all. Oh no, lost the ring. Do over. Seems like a great way of getting what you really want. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying that my ex-husband was just like his father because he canceled on our daughter yet again? I'm making this fairly quick. I feel like I went a tad bit far with my comment. So me, 36 female, and my ex-husband, 38 male, were together for 6 years, married for 2 before he left me. At the time, our daughter was a year old. She was 5. There were no warning signs. I left to go do a grocery shop, came home to him and his clothes/things gone, left a note saying he was in love with a new woman and wanted a divorce. Just like that. I got absolutely no closure from that. Any calls or messages were dodged, even when they were about our daughter. Literally nothing. During our divorce, he tried to fight for full custody despite at this point not having seen her for 6 months, which was denied because he was in the military and at times constantly moving. I got full custody. He got supervision with holidays if he's not deployed. Shortly after our divorce, he married his now wife and they settled down in the city we live in. He's still in the military, but now he's on a specific base. I asked if he wanted to revise the custody since he was no longer traveling. He said no need, and he wants to take things slow. Since our divorce, he has maybe seen her 11 times, over what, 4 years? And mind you, he literally lives in the same city. Travel isn't a problem. My daughter is in therapy for this, just to process the absence/broken promises from her father. Typical I'll pick you up this weekend, only to be last second. Anyway, on to the issue. I got a call from him Friday night. He was supposed to pick our daughter up at 8 a.m. Saturday. I got a call at 1 a.m. because I was up working. And he basically says that he can't take our daughter to his place this weekend. After some back and forth, he says it's because his wife is upset with him spending time with her and that she gets jealous. Yes, jealous of a 5-year-old. Absolutely ridiculous. I've been fairly cooperative this entire time, but Jesus, I was so upset. Like a buildup of emotions, I just started yelling at him, calling him a sack of turd and a disgrace. I mentioned our daughter being in therapy, how upset she was seeing some of the other kids with dads. In her preschool, there was this dad day where the kids brought their dads to do activities with them. They had a mom day the previous week, and he promised to show, but pulled out last minute. I had to give her a sick day because she was so upset. So I really started going in on him. He gets angry and starts yelling and cussing back. Eventually, he got quiet, and I ended up saying, "You know what's really freaking funny? Our entire relationship, you made a big show about how much you hated your dad, how horrible he was to your mom and siblings, how your biggest fear was becoming like him. But honestly, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because you are just like him." This was said in anger. He isn't exactly like his father, but there were similarities, which was why I said it. His father cheated on his mother, abused them, and eventually left and abandoned them for another woman. Take out the abuse part, in my opinion, they're the same. He didn't say anything for a couple of seconds, said Jesus Christ, and then he just ended the call. I haven't had contact with him since then. I absolutely did not feel bad at the time. I felt like my words were justified. But the longer it waits, the more I feel like I went too far. I ended up telling my parents what I said to get some feedback, and they said it was cruel and unnecessary. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If the dad beat dad shoe fits. OP, you are not the a-hole. He's a terrible father. The fact your parents don't find it cruel how he treats his own daughter. To me, truth hurts, and the fact his wife is jealous of a child is gross. Yes, he is cruel to his daughter. Why are her parents not standing behind her and telling her that her ex needed to hear what an a-hole he is to their daughter? Feel so bad for the little girl. OP's ex is a huge a-hole and loser. Being civil hasn't had any impact. Maybe this will be the wake-up call he needs, so not the a-hole. But you can't let him get your daughter's hopes up anymore. Therapy is good, but the repeated disappointment just causes setbacks for her. Yeah, I've been thinking about this too. It's just draining her, and she's at a point in her life where I feel like him not being in her life full-time would make it easier for her. I've been thinking about giving him an ultimatum of signing over full rights, or getting his act together and being a father. My dad left my mom when I was 2. He tried to stick around for a couple of years after, and it was hard on everyone. I think around kindergarten he stopped completely, and honestly, it was really hard at first, but it was for the best. I remember talking to my grandma and her asking if I'd rather have just one big disappointment or constantly be disappointed, and I chose the first. It sucks, and it took until becoming a mother to come to terms with it all. How a parent chooses not to be in their kid's life, I will never understand. And I'm so sorry you and your daughter are going through this. You are definitely not the a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my girlfriend to be a stay-at-home mom, even though I could afford to? My 29 male girlfriend, 23 female Emily, and I have been dating for 4 years and have lived together since last October. She graduated from college last year and was able to get a job that paid an okay salary for an entry-level position. She didn't like the job too much, but she mentioned that it had good opportunities for promotions and would look good on her resume, so she hoped to move on to more interesting work that she is more passionate about soon. In January, my girlfriend became pregnant with a girl by accident. It wasn't planned and we considered abortion, but decided to keep the baby. We have since been preparing for the birth. We have good relationships with both my and her parents, and both sets of parents have said they would be willing to babysit our daughter for free. Recently, my girlfriend told me that she would like to quit her job after the baby is born to be a stay-at-home mom. Her reasons for doing so were, 1, she's getting very attached to our baby, even though it's not born yet, and the idea of dropping her off with a babysitter, even if that babysitter is one of our parents who we know will take good care of it, makes her want to cry. 2, her mom was a stay-at-home mom, which allowed her to have home-cooked meals every day and do lots of fun stuff that she couldn't do with a babysitter. She wants to provide the same experience for our daughter. 3, she no longer likes her job and isn't sure if she wants to continue down the same career path. She regrets her major in accounting and wishes she had majored in something she is passionate about instead of something that just makes good money. 4, I recently got a promotion to a supervisory position in my company that came with a pay raise of nearly $40,000, so I can afford to support her and our daughter. 5, she didn't say it, but one of her friends recently gave birth and became a stay-at-home mom, so I'm sure that influenced her decision. She also tried to convince me by saying I would get more intimate moments every day, now that she would have more free time and energy for it, which I admit was tempting, and that she could cook all my favorite meals and do all the chores. I said no for a few reasons. 1. We were planning to buy a house in the next couple of years, and with me being the only one working, that would set us back by years in getting one. 2. I grew up poor. During my entire childhood, I only went to the movie theater a couple of times because my parents could not afford to take me out to do fun stuff like that often. For example, I got a new pair of shoes once a year and bought my clothes from Walmart. With both of our incomes, we have been able to enjoy a very nice lifestyle. We both drive nice new cars, go shopping or to nice restaurants or the movies regularly, and have also been on some nice trips and vacations. With only one income, we would have to curtail our spending by a lot. My girlfriend brought this up, but I don't really want to. With both of us working, we can keep our current lifestyle even after the baby. There are many things I still want to do and places I want to go, and we would have to put all our life plans on hold for several years since my income alone would not be enough. So we would have to wait until I got even more raises or saved for a long time. 3. I just don't want the pressure of being the only person to provide for my family. 4. Most people don't like their jobs. From what she told me, she mainly just does not like her boss and finds the work boring. My mom had to work a physically difficult job when I was a baby. So compared to her and many other women, my girlfriend has it easy. Sometimes you just have to suck up having a job you don't like. Also, while telling her no, I might have said a reason why she was feeling so attached to the baby was pregnancy hormones, and they would soon pass. So yeah, not my best choice of words. I mentioned this to my friends and my family. I've been told by some people that a true man provides for his family, and that I'm evil for wanting to separate a mother from her baby when I could afford to let her stay home. So am I the a-hole? If she has a major in accounting, she could get a work-from-home job keeping books for someone or something like that. She could work part-time with flexible hours while not leaving the baby. Maybe investigate this as a compromise. I think this, especially paired if they have family who can help care for the baby. I'm 100% remote work from home. My job gives 12 weeks paid maternity leave, but when I did go back, we had someone coming to the house to care for him while I worked for the next 3 months, since her own kids were out of school for the summer. It was great for my peace of mind that I could see him during the day and know she was taking good care of him. Then when he was 6 months, he started going over to her house during the day. Lol, this whole post shows how woefully unprepared you and your girl are for having a kid. Good luck, OP. With both of us working, we can keep our current lifestyle even after the baby comes. Oh, honey. I ruined my family's life and I don't regret it. All names are changed. This all happened 10 years ago when I was 19. Around the holidays, I found out my then boyfriend, Kevin, was cheating on me with my older sister, Jen. I was beyond devastated because Jen and I were really close and she was my role model. Not only that, but Kevin was honestly my first big love, so it was really crushing. Everything was made so much worse when my parents sided with Jen. She had always been a bit of the golden child, but my parents had never shown their favoritism to this extent. They kept telling me that these things happen, but family always forgives, and crap like that. It made me cry a lot, and I kept telling them that I couldn't forgive them. My dad told me to stop being so dramatic. My mom said I was a disappointment because she raised me better. Jen just said she was sorry, but she and Kevin really loved each other and they never meant to hurt me. I honestly just felt so alone and depressed and worthless. I was like a zombie for months. I mostly just slept and refused to talk to my sister. My parents kept telling me to move on because even if it hurt, Jen was still my sister and she was more important than some guy. Eventually, it was too much and I decided to end myself. I was so convinced that Kevin was the love of my life, and I just couldn't get over how he betrayed me, and how my family made me feel so alone and crazy. I wrote a very angry and depressing final note that talked about everything that had happened, and scheduled it to be published on my Tumblr after I died. Fortunately, my roommate/best friend Alice found me after I overdosed on pills. I was unconscious for a while before I woke up. Then I was put into hold because I was still very obviously self-ending and was considered a danger to myself. I was in there for a while and only had contact with my grandparents since they were the only ones I wanted to talk to at a time. When I finally got to go home, it was my grandparents who picked me up and took me to their house. They are the reason why I'm still here right now, and I love them more than anything in the world. They put me in therapy, got my medication, and were with me the whole time. I never asked about my family and they never told me anything either. At the time, I just assumed they were mad at me for being dramatic. Then, I got the real story from Alice a month later. Her then-girlfriend had been angry on my behalf and shared my Tumblr post on our Facebook. She even tagged my parents, Jen, and Kevin and called them out. Her then-girlfriend was also one of those people who had over 1,000 friends, so the post got shared, and my family and Kevin were attacked by family, friends, and strangers. It was a crap show. A lot of people called Jenny whore, and my parents heartless monsters. My mom was ostracized by her church. My dad's friends stopped talking to him. A lot of Jen's friends were disgusted by her behavior and ditched her. Kevin got backlash too, because he lied to his super religious family that we had broken up amicably and said God guided him to Jen. My grandparents told my mom, their daughter, that she was dead to them for how much she and my family hurt me. They were the ones that forced my parents and Jen to back off and leave me alone, and to never contact me until I reached out to them. But I never did, because they were dead to me too. Jen and Kevin ended up breaking up after his parents sent him away to find Jesus again. I have no idea what became of him. Jen had to move to get away from everyone calling her a whore. I haven't spoken or even seen her in 10 years. Last I heard, she's got 3 kids from 2 different men and she's not with either of them. My parents became social outcasts and are now just homebodies. We rarely talk and it's all superficial. They missed my birthdays, my graduation, my engagement, and even my wedding. They won't be part of my child's life either. I know it hurts them. I tell people around me that I don't care about them or their feelings, which is true to an extent. But in reality, I'm glad. I'm glad they're hurting and suffering. I'm glad their lives suck and they're all unhappy. I shouldn't be, and I haven't told anyone, not even my therapist, how I actually feel about my family now. I know this is probably just my resentment and it's probably not healthy, but I can't help it. I almost ended myself over what they did, so it feels almost like karmic justice to see them hurting now. I even kind of hope they feel like how I've felt, alone and like no one cares about them. I'll tell my therapist one day, but I just wanted to say to the void for now. Now for the top comments. If destroying them gave you your sanity back, congratulations. Your grandparents sound great and loving. Spend as much time as you can with them. I'm glad you're enjoying life now. My grandparents are the best. I spend time with them as often as I can, and they've been a part of all my big milestones. You didn't ruin your family's life. They did that all on their own. I'm glad you have your grandparents in your corner. Your parents and sister, I can't even imagine how that must have felt. I'm glad you're at a better place in your life now, OP. I wish you and your family the best. My grandparents have always been on my side. I'm lucky to have them. Sometimes, in regards to my immediate family, I want to ask if it was worth it. But thank you. I'm happier now than I've ever been. Your parents just didn't think you had a power to hurt their little perfect lives and went for the least resistance path. Let your ex be with your sister, otherwise, what would have other people thought? Well, you messed all of them up and showed them that you have the power to create your own path, and they had to put up with all their lies and crappy behavior. The best revenge is living a great life. Virtual hugs. Next story. My sister being abused by my ex-fiancé, but I don't care, and I won't be helping her. 5 years ago, my older sister Jess slept with my ex-fiancé John. It was one of those I've loved him for years situations for Jess, or so she claimed back then, so she took her shot to get with him, even as the mistress he hides away. And John? Well, he was mad back then because I didn't fight for our relationship. Suffice to say that when I found out they were screwing around, I mentally thought, wow, these people are pathetic. I had no intentions of fighting, arguing, begging, and never even cried now that I think about it. Even back then, I was a one-and-done kind of person. I cut my mother off for cheating on my dad. I cut off friends who cheated on their partners even when we were stupid kids. Cheating isn't a mistake. It takes me off thinking about it. Just crying and telling me, you have to understand, like I hadn't caught her screwing my fiancé in my bed in my condo. Or John yelling at me is saying, if you ever loved me, you'd fight for me, or cry for me, or do something. And then the most hilarious line of, maybe if you put out more, I wouldn't have strayed. And seriously, I was always the one initiating even before our engagement. And I had stopped bothering because he claimed his libido was lower than mine. I know for a fact that I'm a good lay, he just never wanted to put any effort in. And even if I hadn't been trying to have sex regularly, that is not an excuse to cheat. I tossed them out, packed up my crap, canceled everything but the honeymoon, and got refunds. I sent John's family their 25% contribution and security footage of John screwing my sister in the living room. It went back to the day he moved in, and the idiot probably forgot I had security cameras inside. And that was beyond petty, but despite how much his family loved me, I also knew that his doting father and grandmother would never believe John was capable of cheating on me without some kind of proof. I didn't need them harassing my family like they did others for lying about their family. I had also evicted John and then had an agent sell my condo while I turned my would-be honeymoon into a solo thank duck I'm free trip. And when I came back, I moved. Again, one and done kind of girl. Cheaters, liars, betrayers, and perverse jerks do not deserve forgiveness nor second chances. I learned that with my parents' situation. You give a second chance, they'll do it over and over again. Then scream, "You said you forgave me," and I can't help it, it meant nothing, while victimizing themselves. It took my dad years to stop forgiving my mother, but I will never make that mistake. In 5 years, Jess and John got married because she was pregnant, moved into her apartment together, and now have 3 children, 4 male, 3 male, and newborn girl. They have no friends, no familial support beyond my mother. My dad is apparently involved with his grands but does not help financially, nor does he babysit or even let John into his house. I was visiting my dad when Jess showed up at his house in the middle of the night. She had her children with her, had a black eye, marks on her neck, and bruises on her arm. I was worried as my dad brought them all in. That worry disappeared the moment she said John got angry at her because I'm not OP. She was blubbering about all the things John expected of her and how he essentially wanted her to be me. Little Miss Perfect, even though I'm the one that didn't want him. Dad tried to stop her multiple times, but I told her to keep going. Her tirade was how it should have been me he hated and hit, not her. That John lost his family because of me. They only have our mother as help because of me. That I didn't love him enough to fight or be with him no matter the circumstance like she did. That everything falling apart was on me, not her. And that she was sick of how I ran away and yet still managed to ruin her relationship with John. Even her wedding was all about how OP would have wanted this, and intimacy always ends with, "Sex with OP was better. You need to try harder." And apparently in Jess's eyes, John beating her for the first time was entirely on me. Wanna know why? Because her children look like our mother instead of me, who looks like my father. That even her children are treated like afterthoughts by John, because he had hoped they'd get good genes. They only had another child because he wanted one to look like me, and that one doesn't either. And then, she said that maybe if I talked to John, things would get better for her. After all that, Dad pretty much told her that her kids will be staying with him, but she was on her own. Go to the police or your mother. Then she turns to me, begging me to convince him otherwise. Like, is she serious? You're in a situation of your own making. You're older than me, decided to screw a taken man, and then married him even after you claimed all he wanted was the woman that abandoned him. You're the one that was cut off from any viable support system by being an awful person. No one deserves to be mistreated, and I don't view it as karma. But Jess stopped being my sister the first time she slept with John. Someone that loves you would never show such blatant hate for you. That goes for both of them. Isn't it funny how once they get the dude, get married and have kids, it all falls apart? A relationship that starts as an affair is never truly healthy. They might stay together, but it is rarely a soulmate situation. By the way, if John was so into you, why didn't he fight for the relationship? By standards, at least back then, begging and arguing is how you fight for a relationship. He spent about 3 months doing and saying whatever to anyone dumb enough to listen, trying to get messages to me. And honestly, he got a lot of people cut off by me in the process. So beyond that. Best way to keep a relationship is to not screw your partner over, or just break up with them. At least you can be cordial afterwards. I'd say that she wanted him and she got him. Congratulations. What a prize. Nope, it's not your mess to clean up. Exactly. She made her bed. Now she has to lie in it. Not your responsibility. Last story. I told on my mom's married boyfriend and ruined my life. My mother started having an affair with a married man, Bruce, over 10 years ago. My dad left her over it, but she stayed with Bruce with a promise of him divorcing his wife soon. Spoiler alert, it didn't happen. After 10 plus years of knowing my mother was the other woman, and after stalking Bruce's wife's socials, I couldn't take it anymore. He's a creepy man that no one in my family can stand, including my 3 other siblings. We've been tasked all these years to keep her dirty secret and treat Bruce as if he's not an adulterer. I took one for the team and sent some anonymous emails out to some contacts I've found through social media. Bruce's wife responded to me and asked to speak, as she had no idea any of this was going on, which I highly suspected despite Bruce's lies all these years, so I sat down and phoned her. We talked for almost 3 hours. She's a nice woman who was nothing but kind to me. She's been married to Bruce for 30 years and had no idea he had a double life. His job allows him to travel frequently. I answered all her questions. During this convo though, I knew my relationship with my mother was over. I knew the details would get back to her and would pinpoint to me. Bruce's wife thanked me over and over and shared she would be divorcing Bruce once she got her finances in order. It was a very emotional conversation, and I'll never forget the sound of her cries as I told her all the details. The next day, I was completely cut off from my mother. I had no way of contacting her, and shortly after that, the harassment of members of my family came flooding in. Messages of disgust towards me and support towards my mother. Everyone turned on me and will no longer speak to me. I can't imagine she's telling them the truth of what I did. I told on her married boyfriend. I'm shocked my family has chosen her side and abandoned me. Sometimes regret washes over me, but in the end, all I did was speed up the inevitable. And I did it for my siblings who couldn't stand his presence anymore. I thought I would get rid of him, but it backfired. Not only are Bruce and my mother getting married, my siblings chose her side and have cut me off. This weighs heavy on my chest. It did for the last 10 years, and now because of what I did, it will continue. Thanks for reading and letting me get it out. Now for the comments. You did the right thing. Although you maybe should have anticipated this would speed up the process on Bruce and his wife getting a divorce. Your mother got what you wanted in the end, so she should be thanking you. For the best, though, she broke up your family by her selfish actions and chose a crappy man over her kids. You probably would have ended up going no contact with her anyways. True. Not sure why mom's so upset about this all being exposed. Like, girly, you've been with a married man for 10 plus years. Clearly you aren't that ashamed. Wait, why is she mad? If you didn't tell, the adulterer would still be married, and wouldn't be marrying your mom. Shouldn't she be thanking you? Unless he never intended to marry your mom and even she knows this. Lol. I'm willing to bet mom is mad because Bruce stands to lose a lot of assets and will possibly have to pay alimony. Hard to say for sure, since we don't know the details of Bruce's marriage. But money's the only thing I can imagine being the reason he didn't leave his wife earlier, and why mom would be so mad. I'm no legal expert, but this is my best guess. Bingo. That's exactly it. Plus, most places, if you're married for longer than 10 years, it would guarantee the wife lifetime alimony as long as she doesn't remarry. Plus, the fact that if she's smart and hires a forensic accountant, any money spent on your mom and family in the last decade is considered marital property and she's entitled to half of it. So if you bought your mom a house, cars, whatever, they will be forced to sell. And or he'll have to pony up that amount during the divorce proceedings. Plus, if they have children together still at home, that's also child support. Dude basically stands to lose everything, and no doubt I wouldn't be surprised if the change in lifestyle causes your mom to look for another suitor. Did it really ruin your life though? I mean, if members of your family are harassing you and supporting your mother because you told your mom's boyfriend's wife that he's been cheating on her for the last 10 years with your mom, then I think that there are trash people who aren't worth your time. You aren't wrong. It's just hard to have everyone hate me so abruptly. Edit. Thank you to all the supportive comments. I have a few people in my corner rooting for me, but these comments have been comforting and therapeutic. The number of family that turned on me, I truly started to worry I was the problem and made a mistake. To answer some questions, money is a huge factor in all of this, which is why my mother/siblings are so angry and not thanking me. I am my mother's oldest daughter. Only my youngest siblings lives with her. We are all adults. I have 2 young children my mother has thrown to the curb for Bruce. They will never know who she is. I am in contact with a wife. She is a lovely woman who is aware of how this unfolded and has been so kind to me. I like to think in another life we would be friends. I've spent a lot of time putting together proof for her so she can get what she deserves out of the divorce. Keeping in touch with the wife angered Bruce and my mother, so much so they told my family I was harassing the wife. That fueled the fire more for my family to hate me. To the few that have commented I should have minded my own business, I wish this never was my business. What a laugh.
Am I the a-hole for tossing a Father's Day gift for my ex-child? I, 45 male, have a daughter, Cassie, 19 female, with my ex-wife, Mary, 47 female, who cheated and left me for another man. When she showed up to the divorce hearing fully pregnant, I knew that there was no going back. She gave birth to her daughter, Jane, 14 female, with plans to marry the father, but he died in an accident when Jane was just a few weeks old. Jane's paternal side was extremely religious, ashamed that her father was an adulterer, so they wanted nothing to do with her or her mother, and even went as far as to deny any blood relation because Mary was a woman of ill repute. Mary doesn't have any brothers and no father, so Jane grew up without ever really having a father figure. It was never explicitly stated, but Mary was hoping that I'd be in Jane's life, but blocked at every turn. She doesn't get to betray and discard me and then try to come back when things didn't work out. I've remarried and have my own family, but since Jane is Cassie's sister, I still make the effort to be nice. I don't take Jane with me in family trips, but I let her come to the house when Cassie has special events there. I only started becoming more distant towards Jane when she tried calling me dad a few times and Mary wouldn't intervene. Once Mary got a boyfriend, I was relieved to be left alone and aggravated when things didn't work out between them because Jane started trying to start a father-daughter relationship with me again. This past Father's Day, my family surprised me with a special lunch, and Jane managed to slide her way in there. I would prefer she leave, but I didn't want to make another awkward situation for Cassie and didn't raise a fuzz. When it came time to cards and gifts, Jane gave me a present and quick speech about how great of a dad I've been and shown her what it means to be a good parent. It was a touching speech, but I wasn't particularly moved by it. Because I felt put on the spot, I accepted the gift and let Jane give me a hug. Then, when the day was over and everyone was gone, I tossed it in a Goodwill box we have at the basement. My wife thinks that I should keep it even if I don't like it, but I don't want to send a message that there's hope for Jane that I'll be the father she's always wanted. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Again, because I keep seeing this in the comments. 1. I've told Jane not to call me dad, or think that just because I do things with Cassie that I'll do them for her. 2. I've talked to Mary about this more than once, but she's of no help. 3. I don't blame Jane for what her mom did, but I don't understand why I need to be a father figure in her life to prove it. 4. I don't even want to be a paternal figure for her because that would require a certain amount of time and labor that I'd rather give to my own children. 5. Mary and I weren't intimate for months during Jane's conception and there was a DNA test. There's no chance that Jane is mine. 6. Yes, I've only ever talked to Jane about this once. How many times do I need to tell her to make it clear? 7. I didn't even like the gift that she got me. Now for the top comments. This might be one of the saddest AITA I've ever read. I completely understand where you are coming from, but honestly, I feel like without you, that kid is going to end up in a real tough spot in life. I'm not qualified in any way to say who's an a-hole in this story, except your ex-wife. From my perspective, I would always try to help out a fatherless kid. This is really tough. Good luck to all of you. Every bit of this points to not a hole, but she's a kid. She's not asking for money. She's just asking for someone to take an interest in her. I get you are in no way obligated to Jane, but is being a good, safe adult in her life such a horrific burden that is a hard no? It might be. I don't know. But it certainly seems like she could use someone to care a little. Not a hole. But please, as an adult who used to be in Jane's position, just ask her one more time to stop calling you dad and advise your biological daughter to hang out with her in places where you are not going to be present. As time goes on, stop inviting her to gatherings altogether. It might hurt her, but this is the safest way to let her go, without causing serious amounts of negativity. When she gets older, she will most likely understand the reasons behind your distant behavior. Good luck, Opie. Not a hole. You shouldn't have to play house/dad for someone who left you for someone else. While it is sad what happened to Jane's dad, that doesn't mean you have to step up. You have your own life and children, and have made it clear that the relationship with Jane is solely for your daughter's sake. You did good by accepting the gift and thanking her in the moment. You have no obligation to keep said gift after. Agreed. While I feel sorry for the girl, what else is a person to do? That's not his kid, and Opie's doing a lot to not upset her or his daughter, but there should be a strong boundary set. Not everything in life is fair, and set out for us, we have to deal with the cards that we're given. It's not fair, but life isn't fair. This should have been nipped in the bud when she was a child, but I'm guessing this is all on her mother. Shaking my damn head. Not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking out someone out of my birthday party for bringing an unwanted gift? So here's the backstory. Me, 30 female, and my ex, 32 male, Tony, broke up 8 months ago. The reason for this breakup was that I was fairly certain he was cheating on me with one of his friends, Tammy. He denied it, but honestly, even if he wasn't actively cheating, he was not invested in the relationship anymore because it was obvious he had fallen for her. Lo and behold, after our breakup, I moved out, and he almost immediately got together with Tammy. Now, I'm trying to be the bigger person and move the hell on with my life, but for some reason, both of them won't really let me do that. Tammy sends me memes, invites me to things, and when I tell her no or ignore her messages, my ex decides it's his turn to tell me I'm being mean to Tammy for no reason. To be clear, I'm not asking if I'm the a-hole compared to Tony and Tammy, because I know I'm not. They're being absolutely ridiculous. My question is, this last weekend was my 30th birthday party, aka a get-together at a bar with some friends of mine. The grapevine does its magic, and somehow Tammy finds out it's happening and asks if she can come. No, you cannot. Cute Tony poo-pooing me. I finally work up the nerve to block them both on every social media platform I can. I told my guests, hey, if Tony and/or Tammy show up, I'm making them leave. My 5 or 6 friends know them both and know the situation I'm in here. So Tony and Tammy don't show up. But you know what does? A personalized gift from Tammy that a different friend decided to bring on her behalf. Nobody else brought a gift. We were meeting at a bar. This friend, let's say is Roger, brought the gift in a bag and told me to extend the olive branch. To which I said, no effing way. Threw the gift in a trash can and told him that he can go home. I was so angry that it took a couple of minutes for me to calm down, but he ended up leaving in a big huff. The rest of the night was as good as can be expected, but I'm still very upset with Roger for doing this when I think it's abundantly clear that I don't want any contact with my ex and his girlfriend. Am I actually an a-hole for not only rejecting the gift and kicking him out? Am I losing my damn mind to this problem? Not an a-hole. They need to leave you the hell alone. Who the hell does she think she is? And who the hell does Roger think he is? This just seems ridiculous. If someone doesn't want anything to do with you, why force it? Yeah, this is insane. What Roger did was extremely foolish, and Tammy and Tony in general seem horrible. I don't think anyone would go to such lengths unless it's to intentionally piss Opie off. Not a a-hole. Maybe you were a little bit harsh with Roger. But the whole situation with the ex and new girlfriend is really weird. I would think your other friends would know better than to get involved like that. If Roger knew about the situation, he should have refused to pass along the gift. On another note, it seems like Tony and Tammy know they are a-holes and are trying to force a friendship on you because they don't want everyone else to think poorly of them. Threaten to get a restraining order if they contact you again. Good luck. My feelings exactly. Roger is between a rock and a hard place, so maybe kicking him out was a bit harsh, but he 100% could have handled this better. Just off the top of my head, he could have given you the gift after the party, or better yet, on an entirely different day. He could have let you know in advance that they reached out and would like to send a gift with him, and ask if you'd be okay with that. It does seem like he was used by these people and couldn't stand up for himself, but he could have at least worked harder to find a loophole. This is a good point. I guess I didn't think about how Roger might have been pressured into going along with things. He's not a bad guy, but he can kind of get swept in the why can't we all get along thing. So I can see how it'd be easy to convince. Oh, we just want to mend fences with Opie. Please give this to her so we can all be buddies. In hindsight, I'm definitely planning on talking to Roger and explaining why this hurts my feelings so much. Hopefully he understands. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom to stop treating my brother like a kid? I, 21 female, recently had a big fight with my mom. My brother, 17 male, has always been my mother's favorite. And no, I'm not just saying this, but she tells this to everyone around her. So since we were kids, he has been coddled his whole life. He checks his computer, his phone, barges into his room without knocking, even tries to hand feed him at his age. Anyway, he is a teen, and now absolutely hates that he doesn't get his privacy/independence. Anyway, it's COVID and he had this date with a girl. In my place, COVID is handled good, so we can go to cafes if we follow the rules. My brother even told my mom about the date, and guess who followed him all the way? My mom. She sat in a booth nearby pretending to hide, and then my brother said he went to the bathroom and his date followed him. He said that he did it because he saw our mom there, and just wanted to kiss his date away from our mom's prying eyes. Anyway, they were therein for like 5 minutes when my mom barged in, physically separated them and yelled at the girl for ruining her baby, and that she was a bad influence. It got worse up to the point the girl called our family a bunch of creeps and left. My mom didn't stop. She was like, "Baby, did she hurt you? Are you okay?" And my brother, who never cried in public as a teen, called me crying to come pick him up because he was that embarrassed. I went and my mom wouldn't let him come with me because she said only she can calm her baby. That's when I told her he is calm and just freaking mad at her because she is treating her like he is 10, and that's embarrassing him. All of this happened at the parking outside a cafe where my mom dragged my brother and his date out. And after I took my brother to my apartment, we talked and he doesn't even want to go back home because of many other incidents too. My mom is calling and texting saying I had no right to act like an a-hole and embarrass her in public. And even my dad says my way of handling the situation is completely wrong. I still refused to apologize, so does that make me an a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Sounds like he is done with how she is, and is trying to cut the apron strings. Yes, he loves her, but says that being home is suffocating. I keep telling mom that at this rate, he won't even contact her as an adult in future. That is very true. Her is mothering him to the point of treating him like a baby, and if it continues even after he moves, then he might go no contact. Not a hole. What your mom is doing is creepy and inappropriate and is going to ruin his life. I'm not being dramatic. Someone needs to help your brother set some boundaries with your emotionally incestuous mother now, and it seems like you're up to the task. Not a hole. One of the roles of an older sibling is to protect the younger one. Sometimes you have to protect them from your parents. You can suggest if he wants to go out again, you'll be the chaperone. You can tell your parents you two are hanging out. Technically true, and just make sure you're not being followed. This should give him cover until he turns 18. He won't like it, but who's the better tag-along? You or mom? Unfortunately, you will have to return him to your parents. Yeah, they're playing this card. He is 17, so he has to go back home, but he is going to be 18 in 5 months. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for favoring one of my twin nephews over the other, despite both twins telling me to stop? My sister, 36, has 4 teenage kids, all boys. The youngest 2 are a pair of fraternal twins, Alex and Brian, now 14. My sister has been regularly sending the twins over to my place whenever she needed a break since I moved near her 2 years ago. I, 26 female, do not have kids myself, but I love having them over. I'm particularly fond of them as I grew up babysitting the 4 boys for loads of spare cash. The only issue is that Alex is clearly my sister's favorite child, and everyone is aware of those. To be fair, he is the stereotypical good kid. Extremely smart, good-looking, well-spoken, and charismatic. Everyone loves him. Brian is more quiet, meek, less blessed in the looks department, but not a bad kid at all. But I seriously think there's a cruel streak in Alex. I caught Alex daring Brian to drink pee when they were 9. In quotes, because Brian confessed that Alex threatened to cut him out of their friends group if he didn't do it. I've personally heard Alex's horrible comments about Brian's weight, looks, intelligence, etc. when he thinks I can't hear them. Brian has also shared that Alex has been vandalizing his belongings, spreading horrible rumors at school. My sister absolutely refuses to punish Alex, or send him to any sort of therapist/professional who can help. She says it's just boys being boys, and it is not my place to override her parenting decisions. So I've been trying to balance out the favoritism while they're at my house. I usually ask Brian for his preferences in minor things, like picking out the dinner that I cook for them, the movies that we watch together. If Alex makes snide remarks, I shut it down immediately. But the more I speak up for Brian, the angrier Alex gets. It has gotten to the point where Brian just defers to Alex's preferences and is asking me to get off this so that Alex doesn't take it out on him when they get home. I get where Brian is coming from, but I can't just let this go. My sister doesn't do anything about it. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for consciously treating my nephews differently and not stopping even though they both want me to stop? Your sister allowing Alex to treat Brian like this hurts both kids. It seems like none of Alex's actions ever have consequences. That doesn't bode well for adults. Your sister won't be able to boys will be boys away if/when he gets arrested. All that being said, it seems like at the end of the day, you are currently making Brian's life harder. He has asked you to stop. You should stop. Try to find other ways to help him. Definitely don't give up. But what you're doing right now isn't helping. Your heart is in the right place, so not the a-hole if you respect Brian's wishes here. But you'd be the a-hole if you don't stop. As of right now, it's everyone sucks here except for Brian since you haven't stopped. Just because Opie's heart is in the right place doesn't mean they are handling the situation the right way. The way you need to address favoritism isn't with more favoritism, it's to stop it at its source. Opie needs to start documenting all of Alex's anger issues and tormenting, and present them to her sister as a wake-up call. And if she still won't do anything about it, talk to authorities or people at Alex's school that will. By trying to fight favoritism with favoritism, Opie is only giving Alex more ammunition to use against Brian when the two of them aren't at Opie's house. Everyone sucks here, except Brian. Everyone sucks here except Brian. Your sister should be managing her children better, but she has 4 teenage boys. As someone who raised only 2 boys, I can feel her pain from here. Still, she wouldn't allow one child to torment another. Alex is a bully. He may grow out of it, he may not. But he's also only a kid and should have clear boundaries with proper consequences. And finally, you're the a-hole for continuing getting Brian tormented, and possibly worse now that you're showing him favoritism. You know this is causing problems for him. Brian has asked you to stop. That's as close as he'll ever get to reporting his brother. If you really want to show Brian that you care, stop trying to show Alex that you prefer his brother. If you insist on doing nice things for Brian, do it in private. Ask him what some of his favorite things are while Alex isn't around. Then buy it before they show up and announce how much you enjoy it and want to share with both of them. Yes, it's manipulative and deceitful, but when dealing with someone like Alex, that's the only option you have.